Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel. What an eagerly anticipated FA Cup semi-final this is. Chelsea versus Manchester City at Wembley, Saturday night football. It is going to be an absolute cracker. Chelsea and City this season, we had the phenomenal 4-4 draw at Stamford Bridge, one of many classics that Stamford Bridge has witnessed this season. And then we had a very professional, great defensive display at the Etihad with Raheem Sterling scoring and Axel Disasi putting in the performance of the season from a defender at the Etihad to get yet another draw. Manchester City beaten at home to Real Madrid in a penalty shootout with Tony bloody Rudiger, Carlo Ancelotti doing the business for Real Madrid on Wednesday night. Are City going to be ready? Are they going to have forgotten this? Is it going to be a case of, well, we can't win the Champions League, but we can still win the FA Cup and the Premier League? Is this going to have destroyed the City team? Are they going to be hurting so much that Chelsea and Cole Palmer can go and punish them? Or is this going to be Man City are going to be so up for this that we're in for a hell of a game and we're going to have to battle to even take it to extra time? Look, I'll be honest with you. I'm absolutely buzzing, gassed with Chelsea after that 6-0 win against Everton. But let's be honest, as a team, City is still leagues ahead of us, but it's a semi-final of the Cup and it's Chelsea. And I firmly believe that when the big games come around this season, but not just this season, but always, Chelsea are up for the occasion. Maybe not an extra time against Liverpool, but we're going to put that to the back of our minds because we're back at Wembley again. And it's another semi for Pochettino's Chelsea. Without any further ado, before we talk about the brilliance that is Cole Palmer in this FA Cup semi, I want to say a big thank you to today's video sponsor. Do you guys want to get yourself a free £5 bet without even having to make a deposit? A massive shout out and a thank you to StakeMate for sponsoring today's GBFC video. StakeMate is a brand new betting app. We worked with them last month. It's super simple. Also looks absolutely divine. Check out here, me placing a little fourfold for this weekend's games. I'm going with Luton, Everton, Arsenal and Liverpool. All of these teams to bounce back, basically, and big wins at the bottom for Luton and Everton. There's also a brand new group chat feature that you guys can access when you download the app. Link is in the description. Use the discount code BEN5 for an additional £5. The group chat feature is brand new. It allows you to create a squad with your friends to make gambling more social. If you're always having like WhatsApp group discussions or sending a Snapchat or whatever to your friends when it comes to what bets you're going to make for the weekend, everything can now be done directly through the StakeMate app. So if you are from the UK and 18+, check the link in the description down below and use the discount code BEN5 and you basically will end up with £15 total worth of free bets, which is pretty outstanding if you ask me. Check out StakeMate today. I love this app. Betting made simple and now it's made social as well. Get downloading the link in the description. Thanks for supporting me and enjoy the app. And we're back in the video. Phil Foden versus Cole Palmer. I don't know if this has been something that has been doing the rounds because, to be quite honest, I don't really consume much football content. I just make it. But Phil Foden is obviously a sensational footballer. And after I got absolutely rinsed on Twitter for doing a Caicedo and Declan Rice comparison that really triggered a lot of people, I'm not going to go down the same rabbit hole here today of trying to compare Phil Foden and Cole Palmer, but I am going to use the idea of a comparison to fuel this narrative as to why I believe Cole Palmer is not only having such an amazing season, but why this could be, of all of the games that we have seen his brilliance recently, this could be the defining moment that gives absolutely anybody who's got any kind of, well, is he going to be doing this consistently and is he really as good as his current purple patch of form suggests? Look, in my opinion, Palmer's had a wonderful season. From the minute he came in at Chelsea, he's been absolutely magnificent. And the reason that I compare Cole Palmer to Phil Foden is because when you hear the quotes from Palmer about when he was speaking to Pep Guardiola during last summer and he wanted to stay at Man City, he didn't ever want to leave. But Guardiola was trying to get him to go out on loan because he obviously saw Phil Foden more advanced than Palmer in the pecking order for players that can play in this Man City team. So Now, even though that's obviously been vindicated by the performances of a Phil Foden, what Cole Palmer has gone and done, and I think this is what people don't seem to understand, the numbers that Erling Haaland gets or Phil Foden get are because they're part of an oiled machine. They're part of a unit and a team and a squad that for years and years and years have been creating opportunities for each other, scoring 5, 6, 7 goals a game. Whereas this Chelsea team this season have been carried by Cole Palmer. There isn't the same amount of supply that Man City get, that Foden gets. So what Cole Palmer has done, as much as obviously I've waxed lyrical about him all of this week, all of last week, I've given him 6 blue boxes in one video for the Man United game, I think it goes under the radar just how amazing the current achievement and the way that he's playing is. He's not even a flipping striker. He's not even a striker, and the numbers that he's returning, not just goals, but creating assists for his teammates too, it's sensational. So I think as much as I'm not going to sit here and say, well, Palmer's better than Foden or Foden's better than Palmer, I think it is for him, Cole Palmer. This is the game where he wants to prove the most. He wants to prove that many people call him the best manager of all time. The best manager of all time made a mistake on me. And I think now he's at Chelsea and he's obviously been welcomed with open arms by our football club, by our fans. I think Cole Palmer deserves the arm round him and basically the hold in him that we've done this season. We're literally wrapping this guy in cotton wool and saying that he can't do anything wrong because right now, everything he touches turns to gold. Everything he does is perfection. It's beautiful. It's brilliant. And I think he could absolutely be the match winner for Chelsea again in this FA Cup semi-final. Now, my Chelsea starting 11. I know that's what most of you look forward to the most. Seeing who plays. Who does Benson pick? Who does he not like? Well, I'm telling you now, the team that I have built, that's the word we're looking for. The team that I've built here is about building on the Everton performance for a start, looking at what has worked against Man City already this season. If you look at the team that we saw when we went to the Etihad and got that draw, you've obviously got a back four there of Gusto, Disasi, Colwill, Chilwell. I've made some changes there. Caicedo and Enzo. The news on Enzo at the moment, I'm recording this prior to the Pochettino press conference. Unfortunately, it's the only time I've got to make this video. I think Enzo will probably have another injection and play, but I'll say it now. If it was a Gallagher-Caicedo pivot, I wouldn't be disappointed. Then you have Palmer, Gallagher, Sterling and Jackson. The two standout performers that day, in my opinion, were Sterling and Disasi, weirdly. But I'm telling you now, neither of those two start for me in this Chelsea game. The goalkeeper is Petrovic. I know that Sanchez has been called up a couple of times in the FA Cup. I know that Petrovic hasn't been in the best form. But I would say this. For me, it's plain and simple. Petrovic is a better goalie, in my opinion, than Sanchez. So for that reason, Petrovic is in goal. The back four that I have gone with for this game is Malo Gusto, Thiago Silva, Trevor Chalobah, and Marc Cucurella. This is a Chelsea back four that I have not picked this season. But what I will say is we looked very solid in that Everton game. We were transitioning from defence into attack well. Thiago Silva looks so comfortable. And I would say it's because Chalobah is a no-nonsense defender in the way that he doesn't take crazy risks. He doesn't overcommit. He does his job well. And I think with Trev in that back line, because he's got that speed and he's got that pace, he can cover and protect Thiago Silva, who clearly doesn't have that anymore. So for that reason, I'm not just bringing Disasi straight back in. I think Trev's looked good. And I think he probably deserves this opportunity because whenever we talk about Trev, I think there was a mistake at Norwich or something last season, which has always kind of stuck in my mind. But you never really remember like awful games from Trevor Chalobah. So I think we need to build on the stability that we had for the majority of the game defensively against Everton. And I think at the moment, Chilwell looked decent when he came on against Everton in that game on Monday night. But I think Cucurella, this moment, I'd say is probably, for me, it's like a 51% Cucurella, 49% Ben Chilwell as to who I think is going to start. But let's move into the pivot. I do think we'll hear more in the press conference from Pochettino, but I think if Enzo is available, I think Enzo plays. I think Enzo and Caicedo in that midfield pivot, as much as I obviously said in yesterday's video that I want to see Gallagher and Caicedo more based on that Everton game. Look, I'm not going to get carried away. How many times this season have I watched the Chelsea performance, watched us play well, and then just been let down the next game? So I'm not just going to be like, well, yeah, that's definitive. It's Caicedo and Gallagher. That's the one. I think Enzo's got to be in there. If he's fit, that means Gallagher in slightly more of an advanced role. Cole Palmer on the right, but obviously now he's got that license, that freedom to go pretty much wherever he wants, whether that's at Stamford Bridge, Bramall Lane, Turf Moor, or even Wembley, I'm hoping. Mudryk on the left. I think Mudryk is, again, I think it's one of those games where we can hurt Man City on the counter, perhaps, with Nicholas Jackson through the middle. Score predictions for an FA Cup semi-final. This is tough. This is bloody tough because Man City are obviously the massive favourites. And for me, if Chelsea turn up against the big teams like we have done this season, pretty much most of the time, apart from Man United, but you can argue, like, are they really a big team? We turned up towards the end against Stamford Bridge, or Cole Palmer turned up. That's the truth. I just got a feeling we're going to win this. I've got a little... I know what you're going to say. You're going to come back and be like, here he goes. Benson's on a mad one again. This is coffee. It's not arak, which is a very strong beverage of alcoholic variety here in Indonesia. I'm sober as hell right now. I think we're going to beat Man City and win this. And I think we're going to win the FA Cup. I'm telling you now. I've got this B in my bonnet. And I think we're going to win tomorrow 2-1. I think we're going to put in a solid defensive display. I think Thiago Silva scores a famous Wembley goal. And I genuinely, I know it's just because I've built the narrative up in this video, but I think Cole Palmer scores the winner. And I think it's a penalty. And I think penalties will be the bane of Pep Guardiola's life this week. I've got a feeling we're going to win. I've just got a feeling. Like the video if you've also got a feeling. And like the video if you enjoyed yourself whilst you were here. Make sure you check out the channel partner Stakemate. The link is in the description. And I will see you straight after the game tomorrow for 6 things we learned. And hopefully, we've got blue and green boxes galore. Hopefully. This is massive. Biggest game of the year. Come on, you Blues.